Hi swimmers, it is Celeste from Simple Swims Fitness and Health, and I'm here to share with you one of my favorite drills, and this has to do with the recovery arm in this particular case. So when we are swimming in the water, our recovery arm is coming forward, and I have another video that really talks about what to do with that shoulder action, that you don't want to be pulling your arm behind your scapular plane in order to clear the water and bring that arm forward, but it's more of this lateral raise, and I like to refer to it as the triangle. So you're doing this lateral raise in the water, making that triangle recovery arm. So I will share the earlier video that I'm referring to in the links below, but today I'm going to talk about a drill that's going to help you get to this point of being able to bring that arm forward and changing how you're moving through that shoulder. Instead of that big kind of circular motion, you can do this lateral raise motion without drawing that shoulder blade behind that scapular plane. So when we're swimming in the water, I like to refer to this as the swordfish position. So an earlier drill that when I worked for Total Immersion, and before Total Immersion I used to see this a lot, the zipper drill, that you'd be in the water and you'd be completely on your side and bring your arm up here, which was kind of helpful, but you know, not everyone could do it, and it really kind of presented that you'd be completely on your side when you're in the water, when in fact we're usually not completely on our sides unless you're over rotating. You just want a subtle tilt of the torso as you're swimming through the pool. So when you're doing the drill, you also wouldn't want to really bring your arm up your armpit, okay? Unless if you have some limitations through your shoulder, that would be really hard. And then when you're actually swimming in the water, you're not actually going to bring your arm up. It kind of gives you this all jammed up kind of position. So what I'm presenting is that when we bring that arm forward, it's that lateral move through the shoulder, and it's also much further away from the body. So a drill to kind of shift and tweak this zipper drill is to be a bit more flatter in the water. So think of your hips and shoulders being tilted at a 45-degree angle. And then it can be kind of a big jump to try to get your arm out of the water, and that's where people start pulling their shoulder back and squeezing the shoulder blades and the elbow going behind that scapular plane. And then there may be some twisting in the body that's happening. So I have this drill I like to call the Swordfish forearm drag drill. It is a drill. I'm not saying that you should swim this way. I'm going to get some comments about, oh, you shouldn't swim like that. Are you ever going to take your arm out of the water? Yes, it is a drill. It is a portion of the stroke that's a step to get you to a different place. Okay, so I am going to get in the water and demonstrate the drill, and I'll be talking some more, and some of this will make a little more sense for you. So when we're swimming in the pool, I like to have people align so this is my lead arm. When I'm swimming, I'd be face down in the water, align my elbow, my recovery arm, and that's where I'm going to send it in, and I'm going to shift from being on my left side, that left side listing or tilting of the torso, and then switch and then be on the right side body. So I'm going to be in this, what I like to call swordfish and swordfish. So swimming, the way I'm breaking it down is freestyle is swordfish to swordfish. The way you're going to link and change from being on the left side to the right side is this triangle recovery arm. And when you align those arms, you're going to shift the hip. So this high side will then become the low side as I move into swordfish on the right hand, on the right side of the body. So talking about this recovery part and changing how maybe you're really swinging that arm back and really getting a big circle, or you're pulling that arm behind you. Okay, this drill is to get you used to bringing your elbow forward instead of pushing your hand forward on that recovery. So again, I'm going to do it on the floor, and I'll do it in the water. Okay, so bringing that arm forward. So when I'm doing this in the water, I am intentionally dragging my forearm through the water. A couple reasons. Okay, is I'm just going to work on this motion of getting my arm forward without worrying about clearing my arm out of the water, and then weird things could be happening there. So one is to get the shoulder. Two, use the drag of bringing that forearm through the water to get you to try to stabilize and balance on your side, okay? So when you're bringing that arm, if you're swimming, bring this arm forward, you don't want to kind of rotate before your arm is in line. So the drill is to bring that arm forward, and then with the high side, the right side, high side, hip, shoulder, and arm, then I would transition and use that energy of that high side to fall and roll to the low side. Okay, so I'm linking being in the left side swordfish to the right side swordfish. Just simplifying it, giving it a name, calling it the swordfish. So bringing that arm forward in their triangle to switch from side to side. And then of course, once I was to make a switch, then I'm gonna do the same thing, triangle, switch. So I'm calling it the swordfish, triangle, forearm, drag. Okay, so in this drill, I'm gonna stop when it feels like these elbows are aligned. Pause here. Hopefully you have not rotated your hips. Hopefully you're not squeezing the shoulder blades together, and that you're able to balance and stabilize and feel kind of bored about the whole thing, is that you're just hanging out in the water, a little bit of a flutter kick to keep you there when you need air. You're just gonna say stop and stand up. So this is part one of a couple of drills that I have. If you bought my book, this is one of a couple of drills that I have in my book, Simple Swims. The drills are here on YouTube already. I'm just reviewing one of the first drills, or second or third drills in there, the forearm drag. Okay, so the idea here is not to teach you to swim by dragging your arm through the water. It's just to get you that feeling, kind of taking a few steps back, regressing the move to where it's something where it might be a little more challenging in a good way to get you to balance and stabilize and really kind of have that time to process that connection, or how you're moving that shoulder, or how you're actually stabilizing and leaving this arm out there until that arm aligns, how you're keeping those hips tilted on the side until you're ready to drive those hips into the next stroke, okay? So I'm gonna get down on the floor, talk about it some more there, give you a bit more of a reference versus standing here being vertical, and then get in the water and actually do the drill. One key point to doing this drill is making sure that you have a decent enough flutter kick. So that is something to work on, having that ankle mobility, the hip being able to be open, the strength in the glutes, and you want to be kicking down. Okay, so this is one of those drills. Way back when doing the zipper drill, I see a lot of people kicking to the side, but when you're actually swimming, you're not going to be kicking to the side, you're going to be kicking down. This is just one of those nice drills that you can kind of feed two birds with one seed. You can work a little bit on your kick as you're working on your stability and your recovery arm motion. Okay, enough said for now, and I will grab my towel, get down on the floor, and start from there. Okay, so I'm going to imagine that I'm in the water. I'm on my front side, starting off with a little push off, and then shifting my weight onto my side. Now you notice I'm turning my hip, my shoulders following along, but I'm working to keep my toes pointing down so that they're not turning sideways with me. Okay, so that has to do with some hip mobility, okay, so that you're able to turn the hips without automatically turning those legs. So you want to keep those hips loose and open. So once I come onto my side, keeping that nose down, I'm referring to my right side as my high side. So with my hand back here, instead of pulling back and squishing and trying to get that hand up and over, the forearm is just going to be dragging through the water. So I'm not lifting up. If you lift your arm up in this position, you will probably sink down very quickly and horizontally. So if you find yourself sinking down under the water, it's likely because you tried to pick this arm up. So in this drill, the idea is to drag your forearm through the water and lead with your elbow. Right? So imagine, well, not imagine, the water is going to be pushing against your forearm. The elbow is going to be leading the way because the water is creating that drag and that arm is nice and loose. So it's going to be behind. And then once you get those two elbows aligned, you're going to hang out here. You're just doing your nice little flutter kick. You're balancing, you're stabilizing, getting stable on your side, hanging out here, keeping that nose pointing down, your nice alignment, your abs and your glutes are working here with that little flutter kick, and you're able to get there and stabilize. So in the full stroke, your arm would then clear the water, you lead with that elbow to come forward and make your shift from there. So this is pulling it backwards, kind of regressing that move, getting that feeling of moving through the shoulder a little bit differently, getting that movement of leading with the elbow, keeping the torso slightly tilted, maybe about 45 degrees here, and just aligning that elbow. So that's the drill on land. You go into the water and do it from there. Okay, so here I am at my home-based mountain club on Loon, getting to be in the outside pool now that it's open up again. And I'm going to take you through the drill, the Swordfish forearm drag drill. And again, it's just a drill. And you know, not everybody has the same sort of shoulder mobility, so for that recovery arm. So it can be a nice step to kind of bridge the gap through that motion and getting that shoulder to loosen up a little bit. And also just a great chance to work on your balance and your stability in the water, which is really key. So if you don't have that balance and stability, you know, our bodies kind of figure out how to move in the water. It might not be the most efficient way. Sometimes people can be very fast, even in their, you know, oddities in their stroke mechanics. And that's fine, that can work for you, but it can also lead to kind of improper muscle movements or alignment movements. And so somewhere down the road, you might end up with some sort of problems or challenges because of your mechanics leading into it. So this can be a nice drill to practice, to work on your alignment and your balance and your stability and your shoulder movements here. And then also just getting that point where you don't want your hip to be rotating as your recovery arm is coming forward. So you want that high side hip to wait. You don't want to rotate your torso until that recovery arm is ready to drive into the water. So again, gets to give a chance to kind of play with that, holding that hip in place until you're ready to add that drive into the stroke. All right, so enough said for now, into the drill. So here we go. Front float. Take that right arm back, keeping the left arm out, little tilt of the torso. And then you're going to notice that the hips are at the surface, the head is in line with the torso, that right elbow comes forward, and it's aligned with the left arm elbow. Okay, so you notice when I do the drill, you still see my right hip, so it's still at the surface because I'm nice and horizontal in the water. And I'm just barely getting that elbow out of the water. Again, I'm not trying to clear. I'm just practicing that movement of bringing that arm forward without that big shoulder shrug. Not very exciting drill, but if you're a balance challenge, you might find it kind of hard to do. And again, I'm not pushing against the water. I'm just gently letting my arm kind of drag through the water, keeping my hip up. So both my hip towards the surface up and also not starting to rotate my hip towards my belly side. So that premature rotation through the torso. Okay, so I'm gonna take it under the water and demonstrate from under the water too. Front float. Take that right arm back. Notice how the torso is just tilted a little bit, so it's not completely flat. I bring that right arm forward, align with the left elbow. I balance there for a moment, and then I made a switch. So it's kind of fun to play with. So again, keeping that right arm vertical in the water, align the elbows, and then there's a chance to make that switch. So that was from the front, here's from the side, tilt of the torso, nose down, legs kick down, hips are at the surface. They've not rotated to the belly side, so I've still got that left side as the low side, the right elbow's aligned with the left elbow, and just kind of hanging out there. Not a lot going on. The nose just pointing down. Okay, and just balancing there and feeling that movement through the shoulder without a big lift, and there's no sinking. And coming at it from above water, just seeing the alignment of the torso. That elbow is really wide out there. The left arm is just straight off the left shoulder, and that right arm is swinging out wide, so it's not in close to the body. Okay, and I have a lot of surface area. Okay, that's in my tilt that the water is able to hold me up nicely. There's just no sinking. It's very gentle, very gradual movement. Okay, so there you have it. I hope that you find the drill helpful in trying to create some balance and stability by dragging your arm through the water and using that drag to help you be comfortable being on your side, using that high side energy when you're ready to drive it in, down, and forward. Also, the point here is to really move that shoulder in that lateral plane versus drawing back and swinging it forward. And then once you have that, those two elbows aligned with that lead arm and that recovery arm, is just to be able to hang out there, that your torso is still horizontal in the water, the hips haven't dropped, and also that the hips haven't rotated until you're ready to switch those arms. So if you like the video, please hit that like button. Make sure that you subscribe so whenever I post a new video, you are ready to view. All right, ciao for now.